All right, Shalom.
Shalom.
Before we begin this lesson, we want to give all honor, praise, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahasham,
Bahashem,
Yahweh Shai, Bahasham,
Bahashem, Bracha,
Barakah,
Kadash.
Kodash. Double honors to the elders and the apostles, Great Millstone, where we learned this truth from. We're not officially a part of their camp, but we learn strictly under their teachings as we recognize them through the Holy Spirit to be the real prophets that the Lord has sent in these end times to give us the correct way to salvation, to give us the truth. Okay, they have the 100% truth, and they are the ones out of all the other false prophets that have risen that you should follow, man. Okay, they are the ones you should follow. And shalom to you, Akwaf in order. If you Akwaf that may be watching this video, shalom to you. Shalom to you brothers on highways and hedges, giving up your bodies a living sacrifice and teaching a hopeful elect in sincerity and in truth. Shalom to you, and shalom to you Israelites scattered abroad that may look like these other nations, but your seed line goes back to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, making you a Hebrew Israelite. Because we're not the black Hebrew Israelites, as we say time and time again. We are the Hebrew Israelites of the Holy Bible, backing our lot in these end times, okay? Showing you the correct way to salvation. And good to see you join our live, brother. Shalom to GMS and his likeness.
Shalom. How about Shem Yahushua Barakatan?
How about Shem Yahushua Barakatan to you? And you brothers out there, follow this brother, you Akyam wa Akwafiam. Follow this brother, okay? Does excellent videos. He's a faithful brother in this truth, well respected, well known. Okay. So subscribe and be edified. As you see in the title of this lesson, right? It says ninjas dream every day, B. And this is something that's been on my mind for a while. I've been meaning to do this lesson, man, because the Lord has it to where he's been making it well known that, many people around the world, worldwide, especially in America, are having dreams, just like scripture said would happen. So this not only further proves that we're in the end times, but it shows you how true the Bible is, man. Not that we need to prove to you, because the elect are going to know how true the Bible is anyway. I mean, you can literally see everything lining up with everything going on in life right now, all this madness lining up with what the prophecies say. But, there's this saying, it says niggas die every day, B, right? It's nothing new, right? Now, one may think, this is why I titled it Ninjas Dream Every Day, B, because people will think, okay, yeah, people are having dreams. What's the significance of that? Well, what you'll come to find out is that the dreams that these people worldwide are having are all related to the prophecies that the prophets have been bringing out in these end times. These are people that don't know, because they're not taught this in Christianity. They don't know about the destruction of America by nuclear fire. But this is the type of dreams they're having. They're having dreams about the mark of the beast and the cashless society, and the fact that it is the RFID micro C-hip that these other camps, these false prophets are teaching against. So there's that. There's also dreams of Isaiah 4:1 that people are having, and this all lines up exactly with what we've been preaching. So this is why it's very significant as far as the dreams that these people are having. It's not just a random dream. People say, hey, people dream every day, B. Nah, it ain't that type of dream. These are dreams that are sent by the Lord. They're very prophetic, right? And we're gonna bring this out. We got a few clips to play. I want to show you a channel that I actually put it in it. I put two links in the description of this video before post-production, and these are where I'm getting these videos. Those links that I put in the description is where I'm getting the videos that I'm about to show you, and you would be wise to subscribe to them, because he puts up damn near every day a new video of people having dreams yet again. So this is why I think it's very important for us to do this lesson and to show you, how true the scriptures are and how things are actually happening as the Lord said would happen, man. So first, what I want to do before I bring out these videos, I want to share my screen real quick. And I'm going to show you in the book of Joel, chapter 2 and verse 28, it says, "And it shall come to pass afterward that I will pour out my spirit upon all flesh, and your sons and your daughters shall prophesy." That doesn't mean women are going to be out here teaching on the highways and hedges, prophesying. I don't mean that, okay? Just means that they're going to have dreams, okay? It says, "And your sons and your daughters shall prophesy, your old men shall dream dreams, and your young men shall see visions." So, in a nutshell, you're going to have old, young, having dreams and visions, okay? And this is why people will say, well, what's the significance of that? People dream every day. What's so special about that? Well, there's specific types of dreams that these people are having, all right? Now, what I want to do, unless you got something you want to bring out before I go ahead and play this.
Nah, you can go ahead.
Yeah, all right. What I'm going to do is I want to start with this one right here, okay? Because this is going into the prophecy of Isaiah 4 and 1, right? And I'll bring it out in the scriptures after you watch this, but I want to go ahead and play this first, and then I'll bring it out for you. So check this out.
Hey, what's going on? So I see that I'm going to be explaining this a few times. So I made this video, and I want to explain the prophetic message that the Lord gave me that now I have understanding of, and it flooded in yesterday. So the day before yesterday, 2 days ago, I fasted, and I was seeking clarity and I was seeking instruction on what to do next with my life. For those that don't know, I've had very major changes go on within my life. And now I'm asking, what do I do next? Because now I don't want to make a false move. I don't want to mess up. So I was given answers to questions that I didn't necessarily ask about, I feel, in this moment, but hear me out. So what happened? I was doing an interview on Saturday. I did a pre-recorded interview on Saturday and released it on Tuesday. The manager of my series, my podcast, broke down the videos into 40 shorts. And in one of the shorts, I was talking about, and I did this in the interview. One of the shorts, I was talking about how the news, actually in two of them, where how the news took, a perception. Basically, they talk about homicide, they talk about murder, they talk about these things, especially in the Black community. And then they always show a picture of a young Black person, a young Black man, and then they just go on about their day. So it's always homicide on this, avenue, on this boulevard, on this street, and then they show these young Black men, and then they move on. And so the belief has become and been held on to that the number one cause of death for Black Americans, especially Black American men, is homicide. But this is what I was talking about in the interview. I said that you would believe that, but actually the number one cause of death for Black men in America is actually self-unaliving. That's what I said. But it was not. He said for Black males, it actually was self-unaliving. Which the person I was interviewing didn't know that. I didn't know that until...
Salakia, 1 second, because he gets to the point, but right now he's not speaking about nothing that's relevant to this lesson. 1 sec, I gotta find it.
A glory from the Lord. I said it was like he smiled over me or something. I said it took over. What happened after that was, which the person I was interviewing didn't know that. I didn't know that until that morning. That guy, and then this narrative. This was the time where I heard, and I was like, that actually makes sense. which the person,
narrative.
this was a glory from the Lord. I said it was like he smiled over me or something. I said it took over my body. And I said, and I was able to actually see farther. I said, I remember the Lord. I said, not necessarily seeing him, but seeing the spirit of the Lord. I said, with his hand raised like this, his right hand, it was raised.
Salakia, I didn't mean to do that. So I didn't realize the video was as long as it is, and I didn't realize it had that bull crap in the beginning. But I thought he was gonna get straight to the point. But I'm gonna play it from here, no messing about. Basically, he's explaining the dream he had, right? And it's a few minutes long, so you have to bear with it. But he'll get to the point. And what's really significant about this dream he had is that it lines up with Isaiah 4:1, which we're gonna bring out in a minute. But this is just a random guy that doesn't know, he doesn't know the prophecies like we know it. And he's had a dream which lines up perfectly with what we've been teaching. So I'm gonna play it.
Raised like he was ready to give a command. And I remember that. And I said, after that day, I had so many dreams because I remember being on the SONY team and doing some of my first fasts. I said, as a collective, as as a rap collective, we would fast together. So I would fast, and there were dreams that would flood in, messages, visions, they would flood in, and many of them would happen. There were many times where they were confirmed as real. Not just a dream or not just something that was a figment of my imagination. They would confirm themselves to be very, very real. So there was one that I did not get the understanding for, and I don't even want to say I misunderstood it because these things are to happen and there are scriptures to back them up. But I didn't understand the fullness of it until now. So in the dream, there were young men. There were young men that were in old army uniforms, old BDUs, like 90s uniforms, not necessarily World War I or II, but they were in like 90s army attire. And they were all younger than me. All these men were younger than me. None of them were millennials. They were all Gen Z men. And they were running into a battlefield. Now, let me describe this battlefield to you. It was very big, it was very wide, and it was dark outside. So it was nighttime. So the grass was dark green, but had that very much black hue over it. And the men were running into the battlefield and being shot down. I mean, shot in the head, shot in the chest, shot down. Um, it was every last one of them. They were all running out with weapons. They were running out with old guns that the military no longer uses in combat. M16s are not used in the military combat anymore. And they were running out there with them, and they were not using them properly. They were flailing above the head, going and then and they're running out there and dying. They were just getting slaughtered. And the thing is, nobody was actually shooting at them. They were running to a tree line, a dark tree line. And as they would run, bullets would fly out from over there. They were just flying. And you couldn't see who was shooting. There was no person over there actually shooting. They were running to a dark tree line and just being shot. They wouldn't even make it to the tree line before they would be shot. This field that they were in had to be about the size of maybe a football and a half, long, a football field and a half long, and it was being covered in blood. The men were being picked up by these old looking, I want to say World War One. The terms World War One keep popping in my head, but they look like World War One ambulances. And the medics kept trying to come out there and pick up the bodies and pick up the wounded. And there were so many young men dying and being shot and wounded till when wounded men were collected by the medics, they would eventually die because what was happening is there were so many dead men that 7 of them would be stuffed into the back of these ambulances at a time. They would be stuffed in, and the wounded would die because they were among the dead. It was so much dying going on. It was horrific to see. And
Right. I want to pause it right there because he's speaking about seven men being stuffed inside the ambulances or whatever, and seven represents completion. Now he said that men were dying like crazy, right? Let's bring out the scriptures on that because that's exactly what the Bible said would happen during the time that the Bible calls Jacob's trouble, right? Because you're gonna have a lot of men getting drafted off into war, and they're gonna be dying in large numbers, man. Okay, this is the book of Second Ezra 16 and 33, right? It's Second Ezra 16 and 33. It says, "The virgins shall mourn, having no bridegrooms. The women shall mourn, having no husbands. Their daughters shall mourn, having no helpers." So basically, there's going to be a lot of widows. There's going to be a lot of women made widows in the days we're coming into. Okay. This is why, you know, there's a scripture when in Isaiah 4 and 1, it talks about seven women taking hold of one man, right? But there's going to be an abundance of women for you men out there. Okay. You men of the Lord, because the Lord is going to be protecting the men of the Lord. They're going to be living, and these women are going to be widows. So they're going to be free from the law of marriage, basically, the bond of marriage, because a woman can't marry again unless her husband was to pass away according to the law. And then she's free from that bond. So there's going to be a lot of widows out there that are going to need protection. And the thing is, what the man is going to explain, and I'm not going to spoil it at the moment, right? But he's going to explain something that, yeah, is not good news for these women, because just because women are going to be wanting the men of the Lord, it don't mean the men of the Lord are going to be just raking them up and saving them, man. You know what I mean? Trust me, the men of the Lord ain't that type of man. Okay, but it says the virgin shall mourn, having no bridegrooms. The women shall mourn, having no husbands. The daughters shall mourn, having no helpers. So women are going to be widows and single. There's going to be a lot of single women. And this is the reason why in verse 34 it says, "In the wars shall their bridegrooms be destroyed, and their husbands shall perish of famine." So what this is saying is that a lot of these men are going to die in war. And it doesn't just mean like being drafted off into war in the Middle East or whatever, so-called Middle East. It ain't talking about just that. It means civil war, right? Because you're gonna have race wars, class wars. You're gonna have all kind of wars going on, in America also. Okay, so you're gonna have a lot of people dying in wars, man, and a lot of men dying out there, and women are gonna be left, defenseless with no men. Okay, so this is what this man was seeing in his dream. I'm gonna go ahead and continue it, right? Because there's more precepts that pop to mind as he speaks.
The scene ended up turning red. These young men were going out there and dying, and not even having a chance. Like, they wouldn't duck. They had no guidance. They had no formation. They had no understanding. They literally did not know how to fight in this battle, and they were just running out there and charging and being slaughtered. And so the ambulances weren't even being touched. That's the thing. The ambulances were clean, but they were very old. No rust or anything, but they were very old style, like literally World War I old. I don't know. Again, don't know why I keep saying World War I, but the medics themselves were never being shot. They were helping, but they weren't being. They were out there, but they weren't being shot. So now you got, that was the first dream, and by the end of the dream, the field was covered in blood that would not dry up. It was blood that was, it would remain red. It covered it was so much blood, it covered the dark hue that came from the night sky. It was just so much, and it was horrible. This dream ended. Then months later, I had another dream, and for those that understand what I'm saying, if you understand what I'm saying, this dream was connected to the first one, even though they were months apart. And I'll tell you how I know it. You'll hear it when I talk about it. In the second dream, it was about Generation Z women. There were no millennial women in this. It was Generation Z women and millennial men. They were the only ones I saw in this. So the Generation Z women were running around holding babies. They were holding their children, and they were running around looking for men. They were asking men to marry them. They were telling men, please. They were telling the millennial men, please, please marry me. Please marry me. If you don't marry me, I won't survive. I won't be protected. No one will care. Help me, help me. And a lot of the men were turning them down. The men were telling.
Can you do me a favor and mute your mic because your typing is popping up?
Yeah.
Hey, Shalom, reasonable service. Daniela, Shalom, Yahweh Shem Yahushai Barakatah. Shalom, yeah, Shalom, Judah, Yahweh Shem Yahushai Barakatah to you also.
Shalom.
For joining our live. Yeah, so let me stop it right there for a minute, because what the guy was saying is that these women were begging for a man, right, to protect them, and they were getting rejected like crazy, right? There's scripture, like I said, I'm gonna bring out Isaiah 4:1 because the scriptures speak on that. For those of you that may be watching that might not know, this is what the scripture says, which lines up exactly with what that guy was just saying that he saw in his dream, right? It says, and in that day, it says 7 women shall take hold of one man. Now 7 represents completion, so it could be any amount of women, but it just means that basically more than one woman is. This is why it's so significant. It doesn't say a woman shall take hold of a man. It says 7 women because it means that there's going to be a multiple of women willing to share a man. So the Lord is in other words, the Lord is getting ready to do a 180 on feminism, man, because feminism is a very big problem amongst our women in the days that we're living in now. Okay, the day of the time of social media and feminism and women's liberation and all that, Miss Independent being pushed through the music and the media, right? So the Lord, this is something that's it's not in line with the ways of the Lord, man. Okay, a woman is supposed to cleave to a man, and that man is supposed to rule over her. But in this day and age, the woman wants to be the boss and all that. It's all out of order, man. So the Lord is getting ready to correct it. And the way he's going to correct it is not by some magic wand and clicking his fingers and then boom, everything's back the way it is. No, there's a certain process that has to play out in order for these women to be humbled, man, because they're so far gone. But during this time of trouble, these women are getting ready to be very troubled in the times we're coming into, okay? And they're going to be alone, without husbands. So the scriptures say here in Isaiah 4:1, in that day, that time period, it says 7 women, a complete number of women, shall take hold of one man, a man of the Lord, saying, we will eat our own bread and wear our own apparel. When do you ever hear women talk about we're going to provide our own clothes and food? Women complain about you taking them to the Cheesecake Factory these days, man. Okay, they moan about everything, you know what I mean, all over social media, acting ungrateful, talking about man needs to earn this amount of money, and if he don't, then he can't even, I won't even speak to him, right? All about to do a 180, man, because it's out of order, right? But they're going to be willing to provide their own food and clothing. Okay, this is why this scripture is so significant, because it shows you what the Lord is, how the power, what kind of power the Lord is going to come with in these days we're coming into, man. Because trust me, people never thought they would see the day when a woman says that they'll share a man, not only that, but provide their own food and clothes. It shows you how desperate these women are getting ready to become. They're getting ready to be greatly troubled, man. So it says, only let us be called by thy name, which is marriage, right? And we know, us that know the scriptures, we know that sex is marriage. So they're going to be saying, let us be called by thy name to take away our reproach, meaning so that we're not mocked as old maids, right? Plus, you got nowadays, women are reproached like crazy because of their attitude, right? So these women are gonna want to be valuable to men. So they're gonna be begging pretty much. They're gonna be willing to share with other women, right? Share their man, and they're gonna be willing to provide their own food and clothing, only to take away their reproach, right? Because it's gonna be survival mode. These women are gonna be in survival mode in these days we're coming into, man, because they're, right now they know that the way they've been acting, that a good man is gonna reject them, and in order to survive, they're gonna get right. Trust me, the Lord's about to do a miracle, a great wonder upon these women, man. Let me go ahead and just play the rest of it, and we'll close that particular video out, because there's more I want to show you.
I was gonna say I got a precept as well.
You got a precept? Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, then let me
share my screen.
1 second.
Yeah. So just as you were saying, like, about how these women, being prideful and all that feminism stuff, it's definitely about to, come upon their head. This is the book of Isaiah, chapter 32, verse 9. And it says, "Rise up, ye women that are at ease. Hear my voice, ye careless daughters. Give ear unto my speech." Meaning, listen up, ladies. You know what I mean? Like, all that, it says, rise up, ye women that are at ease. You women, you've become comfortable in this society. You're what do you call it? Women get the benefit of the doubt, like, especially when you're in the courtrooms and it comes to the child support. The woman could be a bad mother, but the court's going to look at her like, oh yeah, she's a stable one. They're going to hand that child off to to the mother.
Yeah, the women
really the better choice.
Yeah, the women are more favored in the society. They're catered to.
Exactly. So, like, your child support, even, the woman, the man, the more money that the man earns, the more money that she can claim and take and spend out on herself and not the kids. You know what I mean? So, like my brother mentioned, the women are more favored, right? It says, "Hear my voice, ye careless daughters. Give ear unto my speech." And then it says in verse 10,
and his speech is coming through the men of the Lord.
That's right. In verse 10, it says, "Many days and years shall you be troubled, ye careless women." And you've seen a lot of women going through hell these days, searching for a man. They're going on these dating shows and nobody's showing up. Or these singles events and no men are turning up. Because nobody wants to deal with you.
And this is going to last for a while, and it's going to get worse. That's why it says many days and years. I mean, women have been catching hell, but it's gonna ramp up, and it's gonna feel like it's never ending. And it's, you women are gonna get to the point where you're gonna realize how much you really do need a man. Okay.
Exactly. It says, "Many days and years shall you be troubled, ye careless women, for the vintage shall fail, the gathering shall not come." You're gonna be left ass out, basically.
Yeah, because Trump is stripping away benefits and all sorts, man. Like that, I got a video I just got earlier. I should have put it on this lesson, to be honest. But there's a woman, Edomite woman, standing in the grocery line with a EBT card or whatever, and now her food stamps doesn't cover junk food, like, because that's mostly what she had. So she was pissed off and getting rid of it, and she was embarrassed. Everyone, she was holding up the line, had to pay for all the vegetables and fruits, but she had to put everything else back. I mean, not physically herself putting it back, but she had to leave that stuff to be put back, because, and I mean, the whole conveyor belt was full of food, but most of that she couldn't even pay for, because the vintage is failing her, just like scripture said would happen, man.
Yeah, that's all that sugar, they've got addicted to that sugar, and now sugar's being taken away. You know what I mean? But continue reading in verse 11. It says, "Tremble, you women that are at ease. Be troubled, ye careless ones. Strip you and make you bare, and gird sackcloth upon your loins." So hey, that judgment is coming for you women. And the scriptures say it plain, plain as day. And the men of the Lord have been trying to warn you women, but a lot of women out there are just too proud, man. That feminism's got their minds bugged out to where they just, they're in a better spot at the moment. So they don't care until obviously that time comes where they're going to be, like my brother said earlier, they're going to be seeking for a man of the Lord. Doesn't necessarily mean that a man of the Lord is going to choose you. You're going to have to come with something. And a lot of these women don't have it.
Yeah, sackcloth. So, where it says sackcloth upon your loins, that sackcloth is a garment that's used for mourning, Like what we're wearing here is representation of that, like us doing these lessons and we're dressed in what, is mimicking sackcloth. It's just a sign of mourning. It's a garment for mourning. So this is what you women, the state women need to be in, basically, man. It doesn't mean you necessarily need to physically put sackcloth on your body. It just means to humble yourself and seek the Lord, man, and it takes humility to do that, to actually listen to what the prophets are saying, because it's very hard for a woman, that's been conditioned by the ways of this society. It's very hard for a woman to come to grips and accept sharing a man, and we get it. We understand, because it's not something you're used to, but you have to trust in the ways of the Lord, because a man is the prize, regardless of how you've been conditioned to believe. A man is the prize. And you're going to realize that in the days we're coming into. It's going to be very much apparent that you really do need a man. Okay. And we don't do these lessons about you women to just keep picking on you because we're some kind of misogynistic men up here or nothing like that. You know how they say. But it's a warning. Okay. And the warning is so severe. It's so important. This is why the Spirit keeps being put on us to keep bringing these things out, because there's plenty of other things we could be talking about in this gospel, but what's coming to you women is a very, very important part of it, because it's gonna get really ugly for you women out here that ain't prepared, man. That are at ease, right?
Yeah.
Was that it on that?
Yeah, that's all I had on that. But yeah, I just thought I'd bring out that precept because obviously it points to what you were talking about regarding the women.
Come, man. Let me play the rest of that video then. I actually forgot where I'm at. I should have collapsed the video rather than stopping it. So I need to just quickly skim through the end bit and find out where I'm at. 1 second.
Hey, what's going on? It was telling me don't be accountable for her demise. She said she was crying. She said, Nick, the first one, she said, well, the second one, I'm sorry. She said, listen, we knew what you were saying, but we didn't understand what you were. Boy, it was heavy. And she broke down so they can be wives. There was women running around saying, some of the women even said, I'll be your seventh wife. Down the men were telling them, red. It covered it was so much blood. It covered the dark hue that came from the.
Right, I'm gonna play it from here. I know it's a bit back, but I'm gonna play it from here just so it really sinks in, because he was saying some very heavy stuff in this part.
Night sky. It was just so much, and it was horrible. This dream ended. Then months later, I had another dream, and for those that understand what I'm saying, if you understand what I'm saying, this dream was connected to the first one, even though they were months apart. And I'll tell you how I know it. You'll hear it when I talk about it. In the second dream, it was about Generation Z women. There were no millennial women in this. It was Generation Z women and millennial men. They were the only ones I saw in this. So the Generation Z women were running around holding babies. They were holding their children, and they were running around looking for men. They were asking men to marry them. They were telling men, please. They were telling the millennial men, please, please marry me. Please marry me. If you don't marry me, I won't survive. I won't be protected. No one will care. Help me, help me. And a lot of the men were turning them down. The men were telling them, I'm not raising you in those babies. I'm not raising you in that baby.
See, and this is something that women never really considered, is that, you come in with all that baggage from these Pookies and Ray Rays, right? You never thought that one day it would come back to bite you in the ass. Because a lot of you women out there, the ones that ain't right, they will have children with multiple men just for like benefits and stuff like that, right? But they cleave to them benefits, and they didn't really know the Lord. You know what I mean? And that now is gonna be problematic, because the men of the Lord, it don't matter how big your booty is, how perky your tits are, or how pretty you are. We ain't looking at them things during them times, man. The men of the Lord ain't gonna be looking at them type of things, because the men of the Lord are built different, right? We judge a woman from the inside, and what she can provide. If she's weak, always complaining, she talking about she on crutches but she fit. You know what I mean? What use is a woman like that to us? You know what I mean? Or a woman that can't run, a woman that can't do this, woman can't do that. You know what I mean? You're just going to be a liability during that time. So it only makes sense. Like, this guy had the dream, and he brought out exactly how it's literally going to go down during the time of Jacob's trouble, right?
And what it was, like, it came to me. Those women were actually the mothers to the children that were the children of the men that had died in the first dream. They were all of the children were born out of wedlock. Every last one of them were born out of wedlock.
Which, he's leaning upon the Christian doctrine, where they think that you have to you have to get on your knees in front of a woman with a ring and have this big old ceremony, and then she becomes your wife, right? When you've then submitted yourself to a simp, right? But that ain't what true marriage is. So he's off when he talks about being married out of wedlock, having kids out of wedlock and all that, right? Because once a man sticks his rod inside a woman, then she becomes his wife, okay? According to the law, man.
And the women were running around trying to find a man that would marry them. They were even offering themselves in ways that they probably normally wouldn't do. I could hear so many different voices. I could hear so many different arguments, so many different disagreements, and so many different denials. And the women were running to the men, and they were telling the men, marry me. I don't care what I have to do. And some of the women even said, I'll be your seventh wife. I'll be your seventh wife. I don't care. I don't care if I'm the seventh one. And
that's what we read in Isaiah 4:1, right? That 7 women shall take hold of one man. He must have been watching the prophets. This can't be coincidence. But if he has been, he ain't keeping the laws. You see how his beard is all shaved up and edged up, and he's got that clean shaven bald head. You know what I mean? So, hey, he needs to get right himself. But the Lord will use anybody to portray his message. His dreams and stuff like that. Because the prophets are the ones that are going to utilize these dreams to edify the actual elect. Now, whether he's a member of the elect is yet to be seen, but it's not looking good as of now.
The men were listening, and some of the men would choose as many women as they could. Some of the men chose none of them. A lot of them chose none of those women. And what they were saying was, I can't help you. I can't afford you. I don't want that baby. I don't want to raise another man's baby. I don't want to have anything to do with you. Why didn't you want me when I wanted you? What's going on now? No, I don't need that. But one of the statements stuck out to me. One statement said, I don't want to raise that child because I don't know anything about his father. If you know anything about the connection between young boys and their fathers, you kind of understand how severe this is. The millennial men were telling.
Yeah, because you know what you got to understand is that child, that child is a miniature version of the father, man. And if that father was a no good nigga, that child is gonna grow up to be a no good nigga. Why we want to drag that thing around with us, man? Okay, that's his seed. It may have some of the woman's DNA in it, but it's ultimately the seed of the man who put his seed in her womb, man. She grew his seed in her incubator. So that child is basically who the husband is. And if you don't know anything about this man could have been a serial killer for you know. Why you want to help raise something like that and bring that along with you and bring them spirits along with you? You know what I mean? And the scriptures speak about it. Let's go to it real quick, right? In the book of Numbers. Let's come off Isaiah. We'll go to the book of Numbers. I forget the exact precept. Let me see. Was it pedigrees? Let's have a look. Pedigree. Pedigree. Oh God. Bear with me. I'm gonna find it. One sec. I know it's in the book of Numbers. That's it. Numbers 1 and 18. I should know it. For some reason, I was thinking Numbers 35. So it's Numbers chapter. Oh yeah, I'm in 1:18. Right. For those of you that may not know, right, the seed, the child is who the father is. Okay, and the scriptures speak on this. In Numbers 1 and 18, it says, "And they assembled all the congregation together on the first day of the second month." Right, and this is the point right here. It says, "And they declared their pedigrees after their families by the house of their fathers." See, it says, according to the number of the names from 20 years old and upward by their polls. So the point being is this bit that I'm going to highlight. And they declared their pedigrees, which is their lineage. It says, after their families by the house of their fathers. So this is how you determine a man's pedigree. Like if a man is from the tribe of Judah, right? And he sticks his rod in a woman that's from a Moabite, that child can come out looking like a so-called Chinese person, a Moabite, but that child is an Israelite from the tribe of Judah, okay? Because the pedigree, the lineage is determined by the house of the fathers, right? So this is why when that man said about that dream he had, and that, I'm gonna run it back slightly, right? Because he talks about how, the man was saying, I don't know nothing about them children, and who I don't know nothing about the father, so I ain't taking a risk, which is a valid point, man. Okay, because we don't want to be raising other men's children. That's just baggage, man. You women should have thought about that before went having all these babies with different men and stuff. That's gonna be a burden to you in these days we're coming into, man.
Some of the women even said, "I'll be your seventh wife. I'll be your seventh wife. I don't care. I don't care if I'm the seventh one." And so the men were listening, and some of the men would choose as many women as they could. Some of the men chose none of them. A lot of them chose none of those women. And what they were saying was, "I can't help you. I can't afford you. I don't want that baby. I don't want to raise another man's baby. I don't want to have anything to do with you. Why didn't you want me when I wanted you? What's going on now? No, I don't need that." But one of the statements stuck out to me. One statement said, "I don't want to raise that child because I don't know anything about his father." If you know anything about the connection between young boys and their fathers, you kind of understand how severe this is. The men, the millennial men were telling the women, "I don't want what their father has to come into my household." And so they would deny the women. And some of the men even told the women, I'll take you, but you have to leave the baby. And a few of the women chose to leave the child.
Hey, that just shows how desperate these women are gonna be during that time, man. Okay. Boy, boy, you women out there, you really don't understand the severity of what's coming, man. Because life ain't gonna be like it is now, always, man. During a time of war, it will affect your personal life. There will be famine. There'll be you know, all your benefits that you used to having is gonna be cut because they're gonna need that money for the war. It's getting ready to be ugly, man.
Yeah,
It's
you're
gonna
gonna see
be wild.
bodies and all
And
kinds of
women
stuff
run
laying
around
in the
saying,
streets.
Slakia, say that again.
I was gonna say you're gonna see all types of bodies and dead, death around you. Do you know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
the
yeah.
mentality is gonna be crazy.
Yeah, man. It's gonna stink around here, man. You're gonna see bodies just laying out in the street like normal, like it's nothing, you know. And all women, they go for the right now. They want to go for like the brother said. Let me made me laugh. GMS in his lightness said, "This is the type of women they want, right? They want a woman. They want a man that's 6 foot, 6 pack, and 6 figures, right? 666. AB, the mark of the damn devil. That's because these women are their right hand man is Satan. But anyway, this is what women want these days, right? Which is, is something they're not gonna be caring about all that during the times we're coming into, man. All that goes out the window, all that tattoos, and he's got to make 6 figures. Hey, money's getting ready to go cashless, and you're gonna have to have a damn microchip shoved in your body, okay? And you women out there that know what that is, you're gonna want to reject that, and the only way you're gonna survive without that, most of you, is through man of the Lord, man. Okay, unless you live in a sewer like a damn Ninja Turtle or something. Some kind of underground shelter, eating rats, rat burgers. But anyway, man, let me just play a little bit more of that video, and then we'll wrap it up as far as this video goes, because I got other videos I want to show you.
God, please give me a husband. I don't want to live with my reproach. I don't want to live with my reproach. I don't want to live like this anymore. And scripture talks about this. Scripture talks about women who will want men and will be fine with basically being their wives up until the seventh wife. All of this, it's in there. So that was the second dream. Those women were like, I had one run up to me and she said, she was like, will you marry me? And I said, no. And she was like, why won't you marry me? And I told her, I said, I can't afford you, remember? Like, it just came out. I wasn't even really thinking about it. I was like, I can't afford you, remember? And she broke down. She started crying. She started begging. She said, please, I need a protector. I need a protector. I need somebody who can help me. And they were frantic. It was so many women. It was so many women. These were all for lack of a better term, these were all the baby mothers of the men that had died in the first dream. And it was pitiful. It was very sad. And that was the second dream. I didn't.
Right, I'm gonna leave that there, right? And I got a precept I want to bring out that pops to mind in the book of Second Ezra chapter 9. Let's start at 7, right? Second Ezra 9 and 7, it says, and every one that shall be saved and shall be able to escape by his works and by faith whereby ye have believed, right? So escaped, the troubles that are coming, right? So you're going to escape by your faith and your works. Faith without works is dead, right? Verse 8, it says, shall be preserved from the said perils, meaning you'll be preserved from the things that we've been prophesying about. All this trouble that's getting ready to come, man, right? We bring it out a lot. Jeremiah 30 and 7, the time of Jacob's trouble. It's going to be a time like there's never been on earth. You think of all the crazy times this world has seen during war and things like that, slavery, 70 AD, all of that, man. Like this time that we're coming into is going to top that, because there's going to be a lot of dead bodies, there's going to be a lot of hardship, and it's going to be a worldwide thing, man. And you know there's billions of people on the earth right now, and that number is getting ready to be drastically decreased. So it says that they shall be preserved from the said perils, and shall see my salvation in my land and within my borders. It says, for I have sanctified them for me from the beginning. We're getting to the point. Verse 9, it says, then shall they be in pitiful case, which now have abused my ways, and they that have cast them away despitefully shall dwell in torment. So, you know, when we are here correcting you, showing you the correct way to follow the Lord, right? Showing you his correct name, dietary laws, you know, different things, how to keep the Sabbath, that you must keep the Sabbath, flee from Christianity and these philosophies of the world, separate from your enemies, number one enemy being the so-called white man, Esau, Edom, you know, many different things, right? But this is how you please the Lord, and this is how you're going to be spared from what's coming, right? But they cast them away despitefully, right? By saying that we're in a cult, that we're a hate group, you know, all these things that they say without understanding, because they're too proud to look into what we're teaching. So they just dismiss us without even giving it a second thought. That's going to be, they're going to have to pay for that. And they don't consider it as of yet while they're in their comfortability. They ain't considering it. But the days going to come where they're going to be banging down our door, well, seeking us, should I say, but they're not going to be able to find us, right? And that's what Amos 8:11 speaks on that. So I'm going to read it from the top again. It says, then shall they be in pitiful case. You're going to be in a bad way, man. It says, which now have abused my ways, and they that have cast them away despitefully shall dwell in torments. So, you know, not being able to take care of your children, you know, not having a man to protect you when women are getting ravished around here like crazy, tied up in basements and becoming some kind of scientific project. You know what I mean? It's going to get ugly, man. But these women that despise, and men that despise the ways of the Lord, are going to dwell in torments, man. It says, for such as in their life have received benefits and have not known me. So everything was sweet for you when things were sweet, and you think you didn't need the Lord. You thought you was already saved by the blood of Jesus. You thought that just showing up at church and getting robbed by Pastor Porkchop was enough. You thought that you didn't need the true prophets that the Lord sent, right? It says, and they that have loathed my law while they had yet liberty, and when as place of repentance was open unto them, understood not, but despised it. See? So while you had a chance to repent, you despised it. So now, you know, great troubles coming your way. And it says, the same must know after death by pain. So a painful death is in store for all of you people that rejected this gospel, man. The new song, you know, the true gospel. So anyway, that's it on that. I don't know if you got any precepts you wanted to bring out before I continue.
No, I don't.
All right, cool.
Actually, no, Slakia, I do. Sorry.
Okay, I'll share screens with you real quick before I crack on, because there's other things I want to bring out, other videos I want to bring out. He said fly pies. Fly pies, that's right. In the sewers eating rat burgers and fly pies. Send the link, Baba Kushah. Which link was that? I'm forgetting. Is it to that video I just was playing? This is spiritual tea. That's right. That's right. But yeah, I'll go ahead and pass the mic. Let me see, where am I at? Let's remove that. Oh, what have I done? Add you to stage.
Yeah, you get there in the end. But this is the book of Micah, chapter 7, verse 10. And it reads, then she that is mine enemy shall see it, and shame shall cover her, which said unto me, where is Yahweh thy power? So a lot of these women, you know, you try to tell them like you need to repent, keep the commandments, and they basically throw it in your face. So you can't tell me nothing. You know what I mean? That attitude, that proud attitude that they have, right? It says, "Mine eyes shall behold her. Now shall she be trodden down as the mire of the streets." Meaning you're gonna be trodden down like dung in the streets.
Like doo-doo.
Yeah,
That's
you're
it.
gonna, you know, have a lot of trouble in those days. It's gonna be a lot of sorrow for you, gnashing of teeth. You're gonna be nervous walking through the streets, and you ain't got no protection.
Yeah, which lines up with that dream that brother was having when he saw, women in a pitiful case, man, trodden down as the mire of the streets, basically, right?
Exactly.
That link, I'm gonna put a link to that actual video in the description for anybody else that wants that link also. Just grab it real quick. Right, I've just put it in the live chat for GMS and his likeness to the actual video that I just played. So if you want to go to the original version, because I actually went and kind of did a little research and to find out where the actual source came from, and then I downloaded it for this lesson, because if I was to play it through YouTube, it will come out quite choppy. It says GMS and his likeness, Job 40:12. It says, "Look on everyone that is proud and bring him low, and tread down the wicked in their place." And verse 13, it says, "Hide them in the dust together and bind their faces in secret." That's right. Everyone that is proud is going to be brought low, man. The Lord says, okay. And Eve is well up on her high horse with her degrees and her education, thinking she's Miss Independent and all that, right? Eve is proud. We're in a time where the women, they're so proud that they can't take correction. You had Kevin Samuels pop up on the scene, and he revolutionized things where he was speaking about women in a way that they weren't used to, right? Which
he's holding that mirror up to their face, basically.
Yeah, holding the mirror to their face. Yeah, which women lack accountability, man. But it takes humility to be accountable for your actions. But women, due to their pride, they can't take accountability for their actions, and now they want to complain about the men these days, which men are messed up these days. Ain't gonna lie, but who raised them? But then they want to go even deeper, say, well, why did the man leave us and all that? You ran him off. I'm pretty sure, because women are it's a vicious cycle that women don't quite understand, the reason behind their misfortunes, and why they can't keep a man and why they're a single mother. But they refuse to look in the mirror, okay, and take accountability for their actions. So the Lord is getting ready to humble you in the way that he sees fit, because you women just, you had Kevin Samuels to try and humble you and this and that, and all them things ain't working. But the Lord has got something in store for you that's going to work. It's going to work like a charm, to the point where you're going to share your man and you're going to provide your own food and clothing. Thus saith the Lord, man. But anyway, this lesson ain't fully about you women. So let's move on to the next topic at hand, because let me share my screen real quick. Let's remove yours. Good preset though. That was a good one. I slipped my mind that one. But I want to show you another video or two, right? Because there's a lot of things that brothers, I wouldn't say brothers, but people are having dreams about, right, on different topics that line up with the scriptures, man. You got the destruction of America, right? Let's go ahead and bring that out real quick.
Hey, how y'all doing? Listen up. I've had another dream that I cannot shake. I have a lot of dreams, and some of them I just don't remember. But this one I remember like the hairs on the back of my hand. Well, walking down this interstate, and no, we were driving down this interstate, and then it got to the point where we couldn't drive no more, and it was a country town, real country town, like country town. And we were riding, and then we had to get out and we started walking. But as we were walking, I started seeing military vehicles, and they were shaped, they were in a position to where they wanted you to turn a certain way to the left. They blocked off the main road. You couldn't go nowhere. So I remember walking, and they already had a bunch of people lined it up on side of the road. And y'all know what's been going on with this government and certain people. They had these people on the side of the road, but they had the road blocked off and they had it curved with their vehicles where you had to turn. And I remember seeing black military vehicles like them drug bus ordeals that they use. And I seen a old Tahoe, probably like a 2007, 2006 model. Man, I want you to know. I just want you to know how vivid these dreams are that God gives me. And they had the road blocked off, and they had it where it was turned to the left, and they wanted you to follow that direction. So I remember walking and jumping across a ditch, and they already had people already lined it up, like for a good little ways. Then the dream switched again, and it was like nighttime. And this is the kicker right here. We were walking through these living areas, but they were like really nice homes. They were like in really nice apartment complexes, and we were walking right. And I say we were walking because I remember hearing a voice. I remember asking somebody something. That's how I know it was a we. I couldn't see nobody, but I know it was a we. So we were. I heard. And I could just like hear in my conscience, and it was like it is my a good friend of mine. It was like his wife's parents where she was raised, and it was like she was that's where her parents. I heard that's where her parents live. That's where she was raised at. And we were walking right, and this is the kick of the dream that the two main things that got me. I'm gonna share them with y'all. We were walking, and we were approaching this neighborhood, and you could just hear a bunch of gunfire. So I said, "Man, what are they doing over there?" And somebody said they fighting, and I said, "Who?" And they said, "Man." And I was like, "Man." And then soon as somebody said that, a big eruption happened, just like boom. And man, I'm getting goosebumps on my legs. It was like a disco inferno. It was fire everywhere. And I don't mean patches of fire here, patches of fire there. For a long radius of distance, there was fire. Disco inferno fire. As high up as you can see, it was fire. I was looking at this neighborhood and just out of nowhere, boom. And I don't think people understand what's about to happen. I really don't think people understand what's about to happen. I can hardly stomach the fact of what's about to happen. And we know that it's about to happen. I don't have to elaborate this to you. You know, and I know, and we know what's about to happen. You can see it in my eyes. We know what's about to happen. It's about to be chaos. It's about to be a lot of destruction if you're not paying attention. You need to pay attention. All right. I seen fire for miles, disco orange, hot fire when that bomb dropped. Because it was nothing else could cause that much damage, that much fire. It's fire. It's as high as you can see, as wide as you can see.
Come on, man. And you could see the seriousness in his voice and in his mannerism. that dream shook him up, man. You know, he said it weren't no ordinary dream. He said that was one of them dreams that, you know, is different. It means something, you know. And I got, boy, a couple precepts came to mind, because he was talking about how at first he was saying that you know, he was driving up a motorway, and then it got to the point where he got to this really, really country town, and he got to this really country town, and he couldn't reach. He had reached the end or whatever, and then they had to get out and walk, right? Which spiritually, in my mind, I'm thinking like, you know, how everything's fine. You got a car, you're able to drive up the motorway, everything's normal, right? And then he had to get out the car, meaning, you know, it got to the point where he couldn't rely on the car anymore, because maybe things had gotten chaotic, no petrol, you know, couldn't get fuel. So now they're on foot. They don't have the comfortability of traveling like they used to, right? And then he said he saw automatically after that, he saw martial law troops, basically, right? The military, and they were directing him and blocking off certain cities and stuff like that, and directing him another way, right? Well, the scriptures speak about that, right? In the book of Second Ezra chapter 15. One sec, I'm gonna share my screen. And verse 17. It says, a man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able. See? So this is one of the prophecies speaking about the times that we're getting ready to come into, which we all know that this is talking about martial law. And that's the, you know, anytime there's chaos in a country, and it's a city or a country breaks down, you know, there's going to be martial law, where you're not going to be able to just freely travel where you want. This is why he saw that in his dream, because it lines up with what the scriptures say is going to happen. Okay, because this is what's going to happen. A man's going to desire to go into a next city, and he ain't going to be able to. See, they're not going to be able to travel freely. So then there was another part. He said there was fighting, right? Which goes into verse 15. It says, Second Ezra 15 and 15, it says, for the sword and their destruction draw. Actually, let me just go back to put this more in a context. Start at 14. Second Ezra 15 and 14. It says, woe to the world and them that dwell therein. Woe means death and destruction. That's what's coming. It says, for the sword and their destruction draweth nigh, which means draws near. It says, and one people shall stand up and fight against another, and swords in their hands. Now, I know we bring this out a lot, but this is the time we're in, man. And, you know, you got to be blind not to see it. You know, that's why the man was also kept reinforcing the fact that, you know, we all know that destruction is coming, he said. He said he was getting goosebumps on his leg, and he said, we all know, because Americans know it's over for them. But what people have a lot of people have a gut feeling bad is coming. This is why he said, we all know what's coming. Because they all know that, you know, it's over for America, man. And this is what's coming. The Bible says it. The Bible is the truth. It says that there's going to be race wars and class wars, civil war, basically. That's what this scripture is going into. It says, for the sword and their destruction draweth nigh, and one people shall stand up to fight against another, and swords in their hands. The modern day sword is the gun. So there's going to be a race war, man. It's going to be civil war. It's going to be war in the streets of America. It says, "For there shall be sedition among men and invading one another. They shall not regard their kings nor princes, and the course of their actions shall stand in their power." Okay. Now, when the man was talking about how terrified you know, the way he was explaining, he was speaking about how terrified he was. Let me quickly go to the book of Luke. Chapter 21. Let's start here, right? This is the words of Yahushai, right? Now we could spiritually equate this to the time we're coming into, because there's no new thing under the sun, and what happened then is what's getting ready to happen now. Now this is talking about when during 70. This is talking about basically this is the Lord is basically referring to the time we're living in now. Okay, in spiritually we understand that he's talking about the time we're living in now. In Luke 21 and 23 it says, "But woe unto them that are with child," right? You women that have children, just like that first dream that brother had, that guy had. He said that, you know, women with children were being rejected, right? And they were desperate. So it says, "Woe unto them that are with child, and to them that give suck in those days," meaning the women that are breastfeeding. It says, "For there shall be great distress in the land and wrath upon this people." See, and that happened during 70 AD, but it's getting ready that this time we're coming into is going to be worse than that, man. But this is the same type of thing that's going to be happening, right? Women that are with children are going to be in a bad case, man. So it says that, and they shall fall by the edge of the sword, and shall be led away captive into all nations, and Jerusalem shall be trodden down of the Gentiles until the time of the Gentiles be fulfilled, which, you know, happened already. And, you know, our land is trodden down by heathens, right? They're living in our land right now, saying that they're the chosen people, right? Until the time of the Gentiles be fulfilled, meaning in the end, until the Lord returns, right? And then he sets us back in rulership, right? It says, "And there shall be signs in the sun and in the moon and in the stars, and upon the earth distress of nations." So that's what's happening now. You got distress of nations, you know, you got protests everywhere. It says, "With perplexity." Perplexity means a state of hopelessness. It says, "And the sea and the waves roaring." And the sea and the waves goes into the masses of the people. It's not talking about the actual sea. Okay, it's not going to be a day where all of a sudden, whoa, the sea's going crazy today, just like the Bible said. No, it ain't talking about that. I mean, it will when them nukes drop, but this is parabolic language speaking about the sea and the waves roaring about the people, man. These worldwide protests, and you've got even more protests popping up with, you know, the events that have been happening as of late. You've got this Kirk guy that got murked, right? And that's just stirred up a whole anthill with MAGA and all that. It says this is the point I wanted to get at right here in Luke 21 and 26. It says, "Men's heart failing them for fear." And that's, you know, because people know it's over for America. And that guy was in absolute fear because he knew what was coming according to the dream he had. You can see damn near turn pale. It says, "Men's hearts failing them for fear," meaning your mind. Your heart is your mind. So people are going to lose their mind for fear. It says, "And for looking after those things which are coming on the earth," because they know what's coming, man. It says, "The powers of heaven shall be shaken." So these elites are going to be, these elites are getting, are crapping themselves too. That's why they're fleeing into these underground bunkers, building bunkers like crazy, because they know what's coming, man, according to the prophecies and according to what they're seeing happening with their kingdom falling apart. Now, did you have any precepts you want to bring out before I go any further?
I mean, can you hear me? Oh yeah, yeah. Thought I had my mic on mute. I mean, I do have some precepts, but are you gonna move from this topic onto another one?
Yeah. Well, let me bring out one more then.
Yeah.
Before you bring that out, and then
Well,
I'll
no,
pass.
no,
It over
I'm
to you.
just asking because I don't know like what you're
Yeah.
going to cover because I haven't seen the videos that you've got, so I don't know if you're
Yeah. No, we're
going
gonna
to
go into MOTB because
MOTV.
brothers had
Okay, yeah. So
people.
yeah, you bring out your precept and then I'll bring out mine.
All right then. Cool. Did you want me to bring it out? Do you want to bring it out before I play the other videos, or you want
Yeah,
to?
yeah.
Yeah. All right then. Right. So I want to quickly bring out another precept in the book of Malachi, chapter 4 and verse 1. Because the guy in his dream that you just saw, he was talking about how he all of a sudden, after the fighting, he said all of a sudden you hear boom. And then he said that there was fire everywhere for miles, right? And this lines up perfectly with this scripture right here, Malachi 4 and 1. It says, For behold, the day cometh that shall burn as an oven. See? Imagine the whole atmosphere burning like an oven, like you're just outside and all the elements are burning like an oven. The whole outside is just cooking like an oven, man. That's the day that's coming. And what weapon can cause that? It's them nuclear missiles, them ICBM nuclear missiles, man. And this is what's going to happen on the day of the Lord, man. Okay? But the Lord is going to save his elect out of that. Right? But this is what the man saw in his vision. It says, Behold, the day cometh that shall burn as an oven, and all the proud, yeah, all that do wickedly shall be stubble. So, all the people that rejected this gospel and wanted to continue in their wickedness are going to be burnt up. Okay, the Lord going to leave them there to cook. It says, And the day that cometh shall burn them up, saith Yahweh of hosts, that it shall leave them neither root nor branch. Okay, so you, your family, your children, your dog, everybody getting melted, right? Let me pass the mic over to you real quick. So
Yeah. So I just wanted to sort of say about before I pull out the precept, I just wanted to say like a few years ago, I think it was around 2019, 2020, I had a dream basically about the nuclear destruction. And I did a lesson on it, but I couldn't really describe it too well. So I tried to draw it. I tried to draw the dream that I had, but
okay.
as time's gone on and we're seeing like all these things happening in the world, I wanted to basically talk about and give you a little bit of an idea of what I saw in my dream, right? And now this dream, usually I don't remember dreams because dreams, you forget what they are. Probably like as soon as you wake up, you forget it. But even now, so from 2019 till now, I remember it as if it happened like 10 minutes ago.
Yeah.
Right? And I've been saving these clips, right? Just to sort of give you an idea. So I remember in my dream, it was at nighttime, so it was dark. So here, obviously, it's a bit light, but in my dream, I was stood about this distance away from a SAM site. Now, a SAM site is a surface-to-air missile site. So these little devices here that you see, where they shoot any rockets coming in or any jets or any aerial issues, they fire the rockets off like this, right? And you see how it's twisting, right? You see how it's guided. It's almost like it's guiding towards the missile, right? Or it's going to its target. Well, basically, in my dream, it was at nighttime, and I was stood on like a pier. It was like a pier like this, and I was looking over a city. So it was like nighttime here, and this is the only thing I can just like come up with that sort of described what I was seeing in my dream. So it looks something like this. So I'm on a pier or a dock overlooking a city. Now, the previous clip, like, so you see how it's nighttime and then you see the light in the sky or whatever. Let me rewind it. So you see the light in the sky. I could see the clouds. And that was one thing I do remember about my dreams, because I could hear like something in the sky. It's like a loud rumbling, like a jet engine, but it's really loud and it's like coming towards us, right? Now, in this clip, you see that the missile hits the ground.
Yeah.
But in my dream, it flew right over my head.
Okay.
So now as I turn around, I see it flying towards the city. Like it's going towards the city. And
Yeah.
I'm hearing like the sirens going off. Like, you know, them they sound like the storms. You know how they do them sirens during the storms? Like them really loud sirens that I could hear that clear as day as the missile flew over my head and it's heading towards the city. Now, just before it hit the city, right, everything went quiet, and then all of a sudden, bang, a massive flash of white light. Couldn't see anything. It was so bright, I just couldn't see anything. Then as it sort of dissipated or whatever the case, the word you use, right, I could start to see that there was no more city. The city was gone. It was completely gone.
Wow.
And what I noticed from that is looked like that, sort of how you see in this clip where everything was just gone. Now I'm seeing this ball of fire coming towards me, and just as it hit me, that's when I woke up. Because in my dream, I was thinking, oh yeah, the chariots are about to show up, but I didn't see any chariots. And I see this flame coming towards me, and just as it got close to me and it was about to hit me, that's when I woke up out of my sleep. You know, and that's the dream that I had. And I remember it as you know, gone on 5 years now, from 5-6 years from the time I had the dream. And I remember it as if it happened like 10 minutes ago. That's why I was always, you know, trying to find something that I could put together which would explain it, what I saw.
Yeah.
Something like that. Now, the scripture that I wanted to get, let me close this down. Let me share my screen. So the scripture that I wanted to get was in the book of Isaiah.
Hold on, let me add it to the stage again. There you go.
So in the book of Isaiah, chapter 9, verse 5, it says, "For every battle of the warrior is with confused noise and garments rolled in blood." So if you think about the times of war before, you know, you have like, I don't know, Braveheart, where they got the swords and they're slicing and dicing, and you know, they're all fighting each other on the battlefield. It says, "For every battle of the warriors with confused noise, garments rolled in blood. But this thing that's coming," it says, "shall be with burning and fuel of fire." Just like you said, you know, about the nukes going off. And then and that guy who had that dream in the video that you just played, you know, he was terrified. And I remember that feeling when I woke up, because I was terrified. Because here's me thinking I'm going to see a chariot like at this point, and there was nothing. I didn't see anything. I just saw a ball of fire coming towards me and woke up out of it. And I remember, like, you know, sweating, and I was terrified. I was like, what the hell did I just dream? Because I ain't never had a dream like that before. And that's how I know that obviously in these times, you will start to have these dreams, right? And people are starting to have them more and more. I had my dream 5-6 years ago, but, you know, now you're starting to see it every other week. Somebody's having a dream about, you know, the women, you know, or the nuclear fire, or like you say, the next topic, the microchip. You know, there's all these things like that people are starting to vision, and it just goes to show you that prophecy is speaking.
It is, man. It is.
You know? So yeah, because that reminded me of it, because I was like, oh yeah, I did remember I had a dream as well.
That's right.
Like what that guy was explaining. You know, where
I remember you telling me years ago about that. Yeah, man. You know, I've had dreams. I had one recently, but it wasn't a long dream. It was really, really quick and brief. I just remember walking outside, and I was at night, and then I look up and I see the moon is like really red and big. It was massive, like you see in that movie E.T. Remember when
he's flying
past the moon, how big the moon was?
Yeah. See,
that's unrealistic. The moon ain't normally that big, but in this dream, it was that big, and it was red. And it was covered by some clouds, so it wasn't like it was a full moon, but I couldn't see the whole moon because it was covered by a little bit of clouds. But it was red. I remember being bright blood red, right? But that's all I saw. It was just quick, brief, but it was very weird, and it felt like it was significant. Next thing I know, we got a blood moon coming up. This was before the blood moon we had. What was it? A week or two ago, we had a blood moon on, what was it, Sunday, I believe. But this was before I knew the blood moon was coming. So I thought to myself, maybe it means that this blood moon is significant, like it's really important. But next thing you know, Kirk got murked race war. I mean, you got the race war brewing up in England. Man, the thing going on with France. Now you got Russia at war with NATO. Apparently, so many things going on. I was like, man, that must be what the reason why I dreamt that blood moon. But it was just brief. It's one of them things that happens sometimes. You have these strange dreams that actually stick out. But anyway, let me go ahead and play this other video because time is getting on and we got a few more things to cover, right? So I'm gonna play this. Which one have we got here? Let's play this one first before we go to the MOTB, right? Another woman dreaming about missiles hitting America.
Mm-hmm.
And you'll find a lot of people have this similar dream, man.
I had the craziest dream the other night about these missiles hitting the United States of America. I dreamt that I was at this concert or performance of somebody that I knew, and as I was watching it, all these people were turning to look at their phones and these television screens, and they're like, oh my God, what is happening? And all these missiles were hitting the US, and they were flying through the sky like huge fireballs. And somebody said, oh my God, I can't believe this is happening on US soil. So I don't know what that means yet. I don't know if it's an actual literal attack or just means something else, like a huge, world event happens. But I dreamt all these missiles were hitting the United States of America, and all these people, these reporters on the news were ducking, and all of us were staring at the screen in shock and horror because watching all these missiles hit things in the United States. So I'm not sure what that means yet, if it's literal or symbolic of something else, but I kept seeing missiles hitting the United States of America.
And it most definitely is literal. It's not symbolic. Don't ever let anybody tell you that it's going to be symbolic, man. Okay, let me quickly bring out this precept that GMS in his lightness brought out earlier. Shalom, bro. 2nd Ezra 16:1. Woe be unto thee, Babylon and Asia. Okay, America and Asia. It says, woe be unto thee, Egypt and Syria. It says in 2nd Ezra 16:14. Right, it says, behold, the plagues are sent and shall not return again until they come upon the earth. And you can read those 2nd Ezra 16 for yourself on your free time, because it's very prophetic about the times we're living in and the times that we're getting ready to come into. And basically the Lord is sending these plagues, and they're basically not going to return again, meaning that it's not going to be reversed. The Lord is going to destroy America, man. And there's also other plagues that are coming, not just the plague of nukes, but you're going to have a time of great evil and distress before the nukes, which is also part of the plagues. And the Lord said, where is it? Let me just quickly bring it out. Plagues as before. There we go. And it's in the Apocrypha. Here we go. Right. Let me see if there's any more meat on let's start at 10. Right, so this is 2nd Ezra 15, starting at 10. It says, behold, my people, which are you Israelites, so-called blacks, Latinos, and Native Americans predominantly. It says, my people is led as a flock to the slaughter, because we're in the land of our captivity, wherever we've been scattered to, mainly America, right? We're in the hands of our enemies, the Edomites, the so-called white man, and they're treating us very poorly, as you can see all over social media. You see the way things are going down with Trump and this Kirk guy and all that they're praising as some type of hero. And then the lynchings are people being lynched like crazy, and Esau saying that there was no foul play, you know, that we're led as a flock to the slaughter, man. It says, I will not suffer them now to dwell in the land of Egypt, which is America. America is spiritual Egypt, spiritual Sodom and spiritual Egypt, the scriptures say, right? So the Lord is getting ready to, he's getting ready to intervene, basically, right? It says, but I will bring them with a mighty hand and a stretched out arm and smite Egypt, America, with plagues as before. It says, and will destroy all the land thereof. When did the Lord ever destroy the land of Egypt? It's still there right now. You can go take a holiday and look at the pyramids of Giza and all that, right? But the Lord said he's going to destroy Egypt, America, he's talking about. He said he's going to destroy all the land thereof. And that's what people are seeing in their dreams. Missiles hitting America. And this is, you know, these dreams I've been playing is just a few of many. I mean, many. Now, the brother has a channel, and I've put the link to both his channels in the description for those that want to check it out, because there's a whole channel dedicated to the dreams that people have been having that this brother's been saving, man. It's so many happening that he created an actual channel specifically for these dreams. And this is what I want to kind of bring to your attention so that you can go check it out for yourself, that this is the time we're living in, man. Dreams. People are having dreams, and the dreams are very similar. You'll find that all the dreams that he's posting are on the same topics. It's either the mark of the beast, MOTB, microchip, right? With the cashless society, that the digital system that they're bringing in, the transhumanism and all that, right? The internet of bodies, right? And then you got the nuclear missiles raining down on America. You got Jacob's trouble, martial law, you know, all these things that, you know, the scriptures speak about. This is what people are having dreams about, man. Let's go ahead and play another quick one.
During Wade Sim was based. The dream was basically Red Dawn from within. And she has her own during Wade's similar dreams, not the exact same dream, but they're very similar dreams. Basically, stuff popped off, and you know, they were already here. And in my dream, everything turned to chaos. People were running all over the place, trying to get out of the way. There was different militaries, like different nationality militaries, open firing on citizens of this country and law enforcement and EMS and everything. And out of desperation, our government started bombing places while there were still U.S. civilians trapped inside, like different towns and cities. And it was crazy, you know. I remember being with a group of people that I know I knew, but I can't put a face. I don't remember their faces or anything really about them. I just knew that I knew them. And we were being tracked by like an elite group. And I remember fighting them and actually getting into a fist fight with one of them before I woke up. And I woke up pretty suddenly. It wasn't a good dream, but it wasn't a bad dream. You know what I mean? It was really intense. And it was one of those dreams where I couldn't wake up. I tried to wake up, and I couldn't wake up from it. It's almost like I was supposed to see it. But her dream wasn't too different than mine. I'm not going to share the details of her dream, one, because I don't really know all of the details, and she might end up making a video about it. I don't know. But it's definitely something very similar, like just the setting even was similar. So I remember fighting to get out of where I'm at right now and getting to where I want to be at, and just planes falling out of the sky, all different kinds of stuff, y'all. It was crazy. Absolutely crazy. I've had similar dreams like that in the past, right? Like, one time I had a dream I was fleeing the Louisville, Kentucky area, and as soon as I get across the 2nd Street Bridge into Indiana, there's a bright flash in my rear view mirror, and then I woke up from that dream. Kind of makes you wonder. You know what I mean? But I'm curious, last night, I'm going to put the time and date up here. I'm not talking about tonight. I'm talking about last night. How many of y'all had a similar dream to that? And if you care to share any of the details that you might remember, please do so in the comments section. I'm really curious. Y'all stay blessed.
So one thing that stuck out is in the beginning where he was talking about how there were different militaries or different governments fighting in the land of America. And there's a scripture that comes to mind in Jeremiah. Where is it? Jeremiah chapter 50. Right. Jeremiah 50 and 22, it says, a sound of battle is in the land and of great destruction. Talking about America, man. America, there's going to be a sound of battle in the land of America, man. This is a future prophecy. It says, how is the hammer of the whole earth cut asunder and broken? The hammer of the earth is America. It says, how is it broken, cut asunder and broken? It says, how is Babylon, which is another name for America, how is Babylon become a desolation among the nations? So not only is there going to be battle in the land, but America is getting ready to become a desolation. Okay? Ain't talking about ancient Babylon, because you can still go in that region and pay it a visit today. Okay, but the land of America is going to be turned into something similar to the Sahara Desert, man. And there's not going to be satyrs and all types of wild beasts living in that land, man. Owls and stuff like that. Okay, and vultures and all that. So yeah, America's, there's gonna be battle in that land. Let me go ahead and bring out one more precept, maybe one or two more. It's Joel chapter 2, starting at verse 1. It says, blow ye the trumpet in Zion. It says, and sound an alarm in my holy mountain, right? Which is talking about the Israelites. This is what we're doing by, bringing out these lessons. This is us sounding a trumpet in Zion, right? And an alarm in the Lord's holy mountain, because this is for the elect of Israel to hear, man. It says, let all the inhabitants of the land tremble. And that's what you're seeing in these dreams. Do they look smiley and happy in these dreams that they've been explaining? While they're explaining these dreams, do they look like they're in good spirits? No, they look worried, man. Right? They're trembling. Let all the inhabitants of the land tremble. It says, for the day of Yahweh cometh. It is nigh at hand. It's near. And that's why these people are having these dreams, man. Because this day is upon us. It says, a day of darkness and of gloominess, a day of clouds and thick darkness, as the morning spread upon the mountains. A day. Now this is talking about from the smoke from the missiles. Okay, when it talks about a day of gloominess and clouds and thick darkness, that's because of the smoke after the nukes do their thing, man. And when America gets destroyed, the smoke is gonna linger for a minute, right? It says, a great people and strong, there have not been ever the like, neither shall be any more after it, even to the years of many generations. Now, this ain't talking about actual people. This is talking about nukes, okay? This is parabolic language talking about the ICBM nuclear missiles, okay? And it says that there have not been ever like, right? Because this is the time of the Lord's indignation. He created these missiles for this day when there's never been weapons like this or ever will be again. It says, neither shall be any more after it, even to the years of many generations. See? So Joel 2:3, it says, a fire devoureth before them, and behind them a flame burneth. Right? Talking about the propulsion system behind that pushes these nukes through the atmosphere at, faster than the speed of sound, right? It says the land is as the Garden of Eden before them. So before them nukes hit, everything's done up. You got your highways, you got your city lights, everything looks, prestige. Because it's the peak of Esau's kingdom, right? It says it's like as the Garden of Eden before them, and it says, and behind them a desolate wilderness, and nothing shall escape them. See, so that includes people. There's not going to be one survivor in the land of America after these nukes drop. And this is what people are dreaming about, man. Many dreams and different accounts of people saying the same thing. They're dreaming similar things. Now, if I was to go ahead and put all the dreams that I come across that people are dreaming, I'd be here all day. That's why I put the link to the channel in the description for those of you that care. You can look and see for yourself that all the dreams they're having are similar, man. And these people aren't connected in any way, shape, or form. Okay? They're not making this up, man. Do they look like they're making it up? It says the appearance of them is as the appearance of horses, horse meaning power. They're powerful. It says, and as horsemen, so shall they run. It says, like the noise of chariots on the top of mountains shall they leap. It says, like the noise of a flame that devoureth the stubble. When it goes, that's the sound it's talking about. It says, as a strong people set in battle array. Now, this is the vision that was saw. It says, before their face, the people shall be much pained. All faces shall gather blackness. Even in these dreams, man, you can see that their faces gathering blackness, which means that they're shook. They got a look of distress on their face, man. And this is what's going to happen when they realize that the nukes are, the day of the Lord is actually come, because we've been, prophesying about it for years. But when they actually see this day that we've been saying is going to happen, then these people are going to be shook, man. It says they shall run like mighty men. Now, this is talking about the nukes, not people. This is parabolic language for the elect to understand. It says they shall run like mighty men. They shall climb the wall like men of war. They shall march every one on his ways, and they shall not break their ranks. These things are going to be in order. They're going to do whatever they're supposed to do. And they're gonna breach Esau's defense systems. The wall is a defense, but these things are gonna climb the wall. They're gonna basically overcome the defenses of America, their golden dome or whatever Trump is talking about, man. Okay, I ain't gonna defend them against what's coming. Okay, because the Spirit of the Lord is gonna be on these nukes, man. Joel 2:8, it says, neither shall one thrust another. It says they shall walk every one in his path. So these things are they're gonna be totally perfected on that day when they're used, because they've been doing all kind of test runs and this and that to try and perfect their nukes. But when they're ripe and ready to be used, that's when the Lord is gonna use them, and they're not gonna thrust one another. They're not gonna hit each other in midair, collide, and blow up in the sky. They're all gonna hit their target.
That reminds me of the dream that I had when I was standing by the SAM site.
Yeah.
Because the noise, like you say, that roaring noise, you know what I mean? That when the missiles coming in, the SAM site, I remember behind me, it made like a beeping sound, like it was almost trying to lock onto the rocket that was coming in, or the ICBM that was coming in. And as it shot, as the SAM site shot, it was almost like the Spirit of the Lord was guiding it. And it missed completely, like literally got close to the rocket and just completely just went off the rails.
Yeah.
And that's what I remember about the dream as well, is that it was almost like the spirit of the Lord was on the angel to push the missile out the way, so it didn't even come near. And that's why the missile was able to fly over my head when I was stood right next to a SAM site. It's almost like it did absolutely nothing.
And it makes sense.
Yeah,
it makes sense, because the Lord's will be done. Okay. Which his will is to destroy America. For all you people in Christian church praying to save America, you're praying against the will of the Lord, because you don't have the understanding. You know, you followed lies. You followed the pastor that didn't have the answers, man. Okay. Rather than the prophets that the Lord sent in these end times. But we're not coming with a happy message. Okay. So, you know, a lot of people say we're fear mongers and this and that. Good. That's a compliment, because it means we're doing our job properly. The Lord says, through the fear of the Lord, we persuade men, right? So this is what we're trying to do. Show you that, you know, it ain't all fun, it ain't all good glitz and glam, and it ain't a happy time we're coming into, man. Okay. Verse 9, Joel 2:9, it says, they shall run to and fro in the city. They shall run upon the wall. They shall climb upon the houses. They shall enter in at the windows like a thief. Verse 10, it says, the earth shall quake before them. The heavens shall tremble, and the sun and the moon shall be dark from the smoke. It says, and the stars shall withdraw their shining. Okay, that's talking about from the smoke, right? So I'm going to leave that there. You know, you get the idea. It's lucky I'm a bit phlegmy today. You get the idea, though, okay?
I got a precept. You could probably just read this quickly. If you put it up on your screen. I was gonna say if you just pull up the scripture, but that's fine. I've already got it here anyway. So this is the book of Isaiah, chapter 54, verse 16. It says, behold, I have created the smith that bloweth the coals in the fire, and that bringeth forth an instrument for his work. I have created the waster to destroy. Not be them ICBM missiles, you know, that nuclear missile that's, you know, like you say, you got these missiles that are not going to break their ranks. They're not going to collide into each other, going to hit what they want to hit. And you hear a lot of on you know, the news, social media, that a lot of these countries are ramping up their nuclear capability. You know, you see China the other day do their military parade, and they were showing off their nukes. Russia got, you know, the Satan II nuke that can wipe out areas the size of France. You know what I mean? Like, and Texas, you know, one nuke. Do you know what I mean? Like, just multiple warheads on the end of these rockets. That comes from I think Oppenheimer, when he said, you know, I've become as death. You know,
he was quoting Gandhi or somebody.
Yeah. I don't know, one of them false gods.
Yeah.
but yeah, he's like, basically that's out of Esau's mouth, man. He's death. And that waster is the will of the Lord, giving him the ability for his scientists to create that weapon to use on that dreadful day, you know?
It's because this is the will of the Lord, man.
Exactly that.
Yeah, let me go ahead and play the rest of the last video, I think it is, and then we'll wrap it up. So what's this one? Woman dreams about. Yep, man. Shares multiple dreams of. Let's see this one real quick.
This is something I've been having for a while, but okay, so I'm 43. And when I was like 16, 17 years old, I was sleeping in the chair in the living room at the computer, and I had a dream that there were military helicopters that were shooting missiles at America. I don't know. I keep thinking it was Russia, but I'm not sure. I don't know. All I know is military helicopters that were shooting missiles at the United States, and just hitting buildings and hitting people and whatever. And then I woke up. But I've had another dream 2 or 3 different times, kind of the same dream. And in this dream, me and my friends were at a beach. I don't know which beach it was, but there were warships out in the ocean, There were military tanks on the ground. There were planes and there were helicopters, and there was a war going back and forth from other countries at America and stuff. I've had this dream like 2 or 3 different times. Have y'all had any kind of dreams like these? Like when it comes to a war with America?
So yeah, as you can see, everyone's having similar dreams about war in America, man. Now let me pull up a quick precept relating to that because the scriptures speak about that too, right? In the book of Revelation, it's 11. Because we've been speaking about the Third World War way before it was even, before the war between Russia and Ukraine, man. Before people ever thought that there was gonna be a Third World War, man. When everything was peaceful, we were speaking on this Third World War that's coming, man. But the Bible, we were speaking through the Spirit of the Lord, putting the Spirit on us to speak on these things that are written in the Bible, right?
Yeah, you have to imagine as well, the elders and apostles have been doing it before even then.
Because we come into their labors. So they've been doing it like 3 times as long as us.
Yeah.
At least. But yeah, man. I mean, the prophecies, the message hasn't changed. We haven't changed anything. Even the elders and the apostles, their doctrine is the same. And that's why this is pure, because we haven't, they haven't switched it up. They've stuck to what they were saying. They're saying in the beginning, that the Lord had them say, and now it's all coming true. So that's how you know that they're not false prophets, man. Right? You even had somebody come to one of the New York camps the other day and was like, "I've been looking for you, brothers. Everything you said was right." He was saying, did you see that one?
Yeah.
He was saying, you guys were right. He said, everything you've been saying is true. Yeah. And hey, when people going to be looking for us, man, soon, because they're going to know that everything we've been saying is true. But Revelations 11 and 14, it says the second woe is past. The second woe is the second destruction. Remember, woe, it means death and destruction, which is talking about the World War. Okay, that was a time of proper death and destruction. So the second woe is past, the Second World War. It says, and behold, the third woe, the Third World War, cometh quickly. See, so it's coming quickly after World War II. World War II wasn't that long ago. And now we're entering into World War III. Some say it's already began, which I believe it's already began because you got all countries beefing with each other in a Cold War right now, man. Trade wars and all that. But it's going to get a lot more physical, and it's going to get a lot more destructive very soon. So yeah, man, this is the time we're in the time of war. Let me go ahead and play this last video and we'll wrap it up. This is the dream about the MOTB, which is coming soon, which you can, if you've been paying attention, you can see they're trying to do away with cash and move to a digital system, right? Which all lines up with the prophecy we're going to bring out after this video.
Never made a video like this before. Never made a video like this before, and it's been eating at me inside to at least tell you guys what I've been saying. I feel like last night God gave me a dream about the mark of the beast, and it was kind of a doozy. It was kind of scary. But I will tell you as best as I remember, because it gets a little intense, but bear with me. So I was in a classroom, I was in a school setting or something like that, and I remember the teachers came to us saying that we had to get this quick little surgical system inserted because it was the only way to stay a part of society, because if you don't, it's basically like an automatic way of declaring yourself as a full-out criminal like you're the worst of the worst and they gotta get you. And automatically I knew what it was and I knew not to get it. And I was telling certain kids like, yo, don't get it. Like whoever I could talk to quietly and just like, don't do it. And so we all had to walk from our classroom to the place to go get it done. As we were walking to that room, me and a few other kids just like took off in a certain direction and tried to start like hiding. Like just, we needed to hide. We knew we needed to hide. All the kids who went into that room, I never saw again. Anyways, me and the kids who decided to run away were hiding in like the darkest corners and attics and crawl spaces of the building, of the facility, to, you know, not get caught, not get found, because if they found us, we knew it would be bad. Anyways, a little bit of a fast forward. I'm sitting in a room and I see an officer walk in with his daughter. And this does get a little graphic. I'm sorry if it freaks anybody out. But they were both talking to each other, and I could tell he's like trying to calm her down or something. And in comes a few more officers, and they ask him, like, why didn't you do it? Like, why didn't you take the system? And before he even really could respond, they pew-pewed both of them in the heads. Bop, done. And me and like one or two other kids are sitting in these like rafters, like dark corner of the roof, watching this happen and realizing that if they catch us, that we are gone. We are Dunyan rings. There's nothing to do about it. And it started getting really intense from here because it's a life or death situation at this point. So for hours, we were sitting in these corners of the rooms trying to hide and pretend like we're not there and, you know, sneak around. And, you know, whenever a new person walks in the room and starts to search our area, we had to kind of keep going and hiding. Basically a big game of cat and mouse. Fast forward a few more hours, it's already nighttime. There's no one in the facility other than officers looking for me and the other kids. And we all knew that if they catch us, we're done. We knew we needed to escape the facility, but there was not much we could do to get there, especially while there's people walking around. There's a few moments where I almost got caught along with a few other people. And the only thing that I could do, the only thing that I knew to do was to get the guy before he got me. So, you know, whatever was nearby, clunk, that's the only thing I could do. In which we kept running and hiding, trying to, you know, get away from these guys and just make sure we didn't get caught. Sadly, I watched one kid who wasn't a part of my group in the immediate time get caught. They pulled him down from the thing and pew, right then and there. And we all saw it. Trying to maintain our composure, we eventually did find a way out. We did get out of the facility and we sprinted into the nearby forest. Fast forward again, I enter another like warehouse situation with a bunch of other people who didn't take the mark. And I remember that things were very, very on edge. There was almost no food, not a lot of weapons. We didn't really have anything. And I watched a group of girls run inside the building holding up a sign. It's like 3, 2, 1. As soon as they put 0, they were hiding, and a truck pulls up with a bunch of people in it, a bunch of officers, and they get out and they start searching the area. And I knew the only thing that I could do was go and hide in the rafters again. Like I had to get up somewhere high and hide. And it was so scary because I was trying really hard not to knock anything over. In the area that I was in, there's a bunch of tools and stuff in this warehouse, and one little nut or screw falling off where I was would tell them, hey, come get me. Like, it was pretty terrifying. And so anyways, I was up in the rafter. I got my way up there, and I watched these guys start to really search every single corner of this building. And it felt in my gut that it was only a matter of time before they find me. So I had to just keep hiding. I had to keep finding a way out. And then I woke up, and man, it felt really real. It felt extremely realistic. And there were some other details I won't go into because they were just a little bit more graphic. But it was real. It was there. I was there. And part of me just knows that when this mark actually comes, when the mark of the beast actually comes, this is how it's going to be. It's going to be at a point where if you take it, you're part of society, but you deny God. And if you don't take it, you will be. But again, I don't know. I'd rather go and be for my belief in God than be conform to whatever society wants me to do. At least I know I'm going to the kingdom.
You better hope he's an Israelite, okay? Because you heathen, it don't matter if you don't take the mark of the beast. You're still going into captivity. Thus saith the Lord, okay? So, you know, the salvation is only for the elect of Israel. So the elect of Israel are the only ones that, you know, are gonna be saved. for not taking the MOTB, okay? And the Lord has to have his spirit on you to be able to withstand that type of temptation, you know, because it's getting ready to come upon all the world, and it's not something to take lightly, okay? Now, in the book of Revelations, we bring this out all the time. This is relating to what he saw in his dream, man, because this is a very important prophecy to get right. Okay, you got a lot of other camps teaching that this is talking about other stuff, but for those who, those who the Lord has opened your eyes to, for those who the Lord's eyes are open, you can see without a doubt that this is talking about the microchip, okay? Revelations 13 and 16, and he causeth all, see, all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond. So everybody on earth, it don't matter if you're prisoner, rich, it don't matter, because your money ain't saving you from this, man. Okay, you're all gonna have to receive this mark, right? It says it causes all to receive a mark. It says in their right hand or in their forehead. Now, most people are gonna get it in their hand, but to get it in your head, which is the Neuralink, that's gonna probably come at a price, which, most people are just gonna want to take the one in their hand, which if they're gonna force it on you, of course, they're not gonna charge you just like the jump shot, man. Okay, they wasn't charging, but in fact, they were trying to give people incentives to take it. And it's probably going to be the same with the MOTB, the microchip, right? But the Neuralink, there's going to be a bit of a procedure, a surgery to get that in, and plus you're probably going to be able to do more things with that. So it'll probably be for those that have a bit of money. You'll probably have to pay for that. There'll be more people getting it in their hand than in their foreheads. Now, what they're going to do is cause you to get this mark in order to be a part of this society, just like that man said in that dream he saw, right? He said that those that didn't want it, they got pewed right away, right? Put to death. It says in verse 17, and no man might buy or sell. So you can't make any purchases and you can't make any transactions, which we need in our daily life to survive, right? In Esau's system. But you can't make any transactions, meaning you're cut off from society, unless it says, save that he had the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. So if you don't bow down to this system and take their MOTB, right, then you'll be an outcast of this society, okay? It says, here is wisdom. Let him that have understanding count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, which is Esau. It says, and his number is 636, which means 666, okay? So this is a very important prophecy to get right, and this is the time we're in when they're about to turn all currency into digital money, which ultimately they're going to put on a chip and put in your body, and it's going to be the new thing in society, and they're going to push it upon the whole world, okay? Regardless of what scoffers say, you have all kind of scoffers out there that don't believe, but who cares about them? Okay, they're through already, man, unless they repent and receive this wisdom. But this is the time we're coming into, and they're gonna cause people to be put to death that don't take this, right? Let's go to that real quick. The book of Revelations 20, and where is it? 20 and 4. It says, and I saw thrones, and they sat upon them, and judgment was given unto them. See, and that's talking about the elect of Israel, the 144,000 men, right? They're gonna rule over all nations, and they're gonna be the judges of the earth, right? That's why it says judgment was given unto them. This is what John the Revelator saw in the Isle of Patmos, I believe around 95 AD, I believe. It says, and I saw the souls of them that were beheaded for the witness of Yahushai and for the word of the Most High, and which had not worshipped the beast, neither his image, neither had received his mark upon their foreheads or in their hands. So we didn't bow down to the system. We resisted. Okay. And it's going to take the work of the Lord to help us get through this time, man. It's going to take miracles, divine intervention. It says, and they lived and reigned with Yahushai, the anointed, 1,000 years. Okay. So the ones that resisted, not all of them, but there are going to be some of us that are going to be put to death for resisting, that for not receiving their mark, okay, and for our testimony that we speak, which is this these prophecies that we bring out, right? We're going to be labeled terrorists, basically, man, and we're going to end up being beheaded. Now, this is going to come via what they call the Noahide laws. So if you see here, it says, where is it? For a non-Jew, is there a punishment for not observing the 7 Noahide laws? Now, the Noahide laws are a set of laws that is in the Talmud. That basically, one of them is if you worship the God of the Bible, basically, right? Which they say is Jesus, right? But we know it to be Yahushai. But if you worship the Lord, then that's punishable by death. And the death that one of the forms of death that they're talking about is decapitation. So it says, yes, they are punishable. Where was the question? It says, for a non-Jew, is there punishment for not observing the 7 Noahide laws? It says, yes, they are punishable for violating any of these 7 mitzvahs. It says one of them are more or less severe than others. The punishment for each of them is decapitation. It says no warning is needed, but there needs to be at least one male witness and at least one male judge. The judge can be either a Jew or non-Jew. If he committed the violation in error, he is not punished. It says error means that he was unaware that the object is forbidden, is a forbidden one. And then it gives an example. But anyway, that's not going into too much detail. But here, what is this crap? Breaking Noahide laws, understanding severe consequences. These are some websites I dug up before this lesson. It says the Noahide laws, also known as the 7 laws of Noah, are a set of universal moral laws that, according to the Talmud, were given by God as a covenant with Noah and the sons of Noah, i.e., all of humanity. It says the laws include prohibitions against idol worship. It says cursing the Most High, murder, adultery, and sexual immorality, theft, and eating of flesh torn from a living animal. It says, as well as the obligation to establish courts of justice. It says, while classical Jewish texts like the Talmud discuss the consequences of violating these laws, in practice, these penalties were rarely, if ever, applied. It says the Talmud suggests that violating any of the Noahide laws could result in capital punishment, but this understanding is within the context of the Talmudic legal system. It says where capital punishment was rare and surrounded by safeguards. Anyway, it goes into it a bit, but basically they state on the Georgia Guidestones, right? You got text on the Georgia Guidestones that speaks about, let me view this image real quick. It says to maintain humanity under 500 million in perpetual balance with nature, right? So they're talking about depopulating the earth. So they'll be glad to get rid of those that are resisting their new world order, right? Because this is a part of their new order. And they took these Georgia Guidestones down in preparation for what's coming, basically. Now you have, let me show you this image here. It's a bit more clearer. It says there's one of the laws on their Georgia Guidestones. It says, let all nations rule internally, resolving external disputes in a world court. So basically, they're talking about a world court, which they're going to be, the world court is going to uphold the 7 Noahide laws, man. Because this is the laws of the Talmud, which is the Jewish laws, right? And basically, they're gonna force that upon the whole world, man. So basically, anyone that chooses not to bow down to their system is gonna do that because of what they read in the Bible, where it says that, you know, it's the mark of the beast, and they're gonna know that. So punishment by resisting, according to your, you know, what they call your religion, right? Your religious beliefs. Because we believe, obviously, that it's the mark of the beast. So according to that, punishment will be, by the world court, the punishment will be, according to the 7 Noahide laws that they'll uphold, is decapitation, right? Now that lines up exactly with what we read here in Revelations 20:4, which John the Revelator saw. He says he saw them that had gotten the victory, basically, right? And right here it says, and I saw the souls of them that were beheaded, see? For the witness of the Lord, Yahushai, and for the word of the Most High, and which had not worshipped the beast, neither his image, neither had received his mark on their foreheads and in their hands. And they lived and reigned with the anointed 1,000 years, see? So this is what's coming, man. You know, decapitation, not for everybody that resists, because the Lord says he's going to, you know, his servants, he's going to spare them from the hour of temptation, right? But it is coming. You got preset, yeah?
Yeah.
But it is coming. It is gonna. A lot of people will be put to death for that. Let's give you the stage real quick before I bring out the next part I want to bring out.
Yeah. So this is in the book of Revelation, chapter 14, verse 9. So it's going off the back of what you were saying about how people are gonna choose to accept the mark, and there's going to be a group of those that ain't going to, you know, accept it and be outcast from society. Now, that guy in the end of the video that you just played, the one that had that dream, he was saying that, you know, because he said it kind of proudly, like, I'm not taking it because I know I'm going to be in the kingdom. Like, you know, it's a bit bold statement to make, because, you know, he that endureth until the end, the same shall be saved. So you don't know if he's going to make it to the end, you know what I mean? Or if even if it applies to him, if he's not of the elect, right? But this scripture here, Revelation 14:9, it says, and the third angel followed them, saying with a loud voice, if any man worship the beast and his image, and receive his mark in his forehead or in his right hand, says the same shall drink of the wine of the wrath of the Most High, which is poured out without mixture into a cup of his indignation. It says righteous anger. Now we understand that, you know, the Lord's going to be using them ICBMs to deliver a message to America, you know, to basically put an end to them, you know. And that indignation also, you know, that translates over to anybody that accepts that mark, you know, like Revelation 13 and 16 onwards, you know, mentions, like, you know, he will cause all the ones that choose, you know, to accept it, they're going to be caught up in this indignation, this righteous anger. I'm going to keep reading. It says, and he shall be tormented with fire and brimstone in the presence of the holy angels and in the presence of the Lamb. So you're going to be cooked. You know, you're going to end up in that lake of fire when America's getting that judgment, and then nuclear ICBM missiles are striking. All those that chose to follow after Esau, Edom, the enemy, is going to die with him, you know, in the presence of the angels. And the elect are going to be up in them chariots watching America receive its judgment.
Yeah. And it says presence of the Lord and his angels, because the Lord is going to be there in the chariots.
Yeah.
And the angels will be in the chariots above America when America gets destroyed by them nukes. They're going to get delivered in what people call the rapture. And, you know, a lot of people call abduction by UFOs, right? But this is how it's going to go down, okay? And the elites know this.
Yeah. I want to also get this in Revelation chapter 16.
All right.
Start from the top, verse 1. It says, "And I heard a great voice out of the temple saying to the 7 angels, go your ways and pour out the vials of the wrath of the Most High upon the earth." Right? And it says, "And the first went and poured out his vial upon the earth, and there fell a noisome and grievous sore upon the men which had the mark of the beast, and upon them which worshipped his image." Right?
Mhm.
So now you understand, like, you know, before that nuclear fire, you're gonna go through all kinds of hell. You're gonna get them boils, you know, that noisome and grievous sore. When you pick that microchip, you know, inside you, you know, that thing's gonna be like, I don't know, 5G radioactive. You know what I mean? You're gonna be cooking from the inside.
Yeah,
like a microwave meal.
It'd be a little hot spot.
A personal walking hotspot.
A little hot spot.
That's it. You know, you find one of them 5G towers that start malfunctioning, and you're just cooking from the inside. You know what I mean?
Oh man.
But yeah, man, that judgment is severe, and that's what we're as watchmen, we're warning our people about. Like, look, it's about to get difficult out here, man. Like, being cut off from society, you know, and a lot of women, like, not to jump back on the women, a lot of women like to be comfortable. It's going to be uncomfortable in them days. When you're cut off from society, you ain't going to have a nice warm bed. I mean, you ain't going to be, you know, you're going to be out there in the wilderness running for your life. You know, so it's going to get, it's lucky.
You might have a nice, they might have a nice warm bed if they get with a man of the Lord.
Well, yeah,
servants are going to eat.
Yeah.
Servants are going to eat. Servants are going to drink, you know.
It's Isaiah 65 and 13, I believe.
Yeah, you want to cleave to a man of the Lord during that time. You know, even the Bible says, let me just quickly, not to go off topic, but might as well bring this out real quick.
But yeah, it's gonna be a rough time, you know. Gonna be outside with the bugs. Me, I'm not too fussed about bugs, but I know, like, one of them little flies fly past your ear, you know, ready to fight. Ready to fight the air.
Right, this is Isaiah 32:2. It says, "And a man shall be as a hiding place from the wind." The wind meaning the destruction that's coming, man. Not the nuclear well, that too, but before that, the chaos that's coming. Okay, a man shall be a hiding place from that. It says, "And a covert from the tempest, as rivers of water in a dry place, as a shadow of a great rock in a weary land." See, so you know you're in a dry place like a desert, and there's no water, but then you find water. You're gonna be relieved. You're gonna run to that for protection, for life, right? And it says, "And a man shall be as a hiding place from the wind, a covert from the tempest, rivers of water in a dry place, as a shadow of a great rock in a weary land." See, so a man is gonna be women's protection during that time, man. Now, I think we'll leave that there. I think, yeah. Have you got anything else you want to bring out?
Nah.
We've gone past the 2-hour mark, so I think we'll leave that there. But you get the point, man. People have been having dreams like crazy relating to everything that we've been bringing out in the scriptures. And I've left 2 links in the description so you can find the channel that the brother has. The Lord put a spirit on him to bring this out and to create a channel specifically dedicated to the dreams that people have been having, to basically show you how true the Lord's words are when he said that in the end times men shall dream dreams, right? We got this last precept here, Acts 2:17. It says, "And it shall come to pass in the last days, which we're obviously living in, it says, saith the Most High, I will pour out my spirit on all flesh, and your sons and your daughters shall prophesy, and your young men shall see visions, and your old men shall dream dreams. And that lines up exactly with what it says in Joel 2 and 28. It's just a precept backing up the same thing in the book of Acts and the book of Joel. All right. So, Lord willing, you've been edified by this lesson. The water for tuning in, all you brothers and you brothers. Well, GMS in his likeness has been putting precepts up on the comment board. The water for engaging. And we'll close it out here. Lord willing, you've been edified. All right. And on that note, I want to give all honor, praise, and glory unto Yahweh,
Hashem, Yahushai, Bahashem,
Hashem,
Kodash.
All right, shalom.
Shalom, shalom.